Good morning. Thank you for joining with us today at Logan Parish Church. I don't know if you read about the girl who had been winning the lottery. She was later sued by a friend. Why? It was because she had asked a friend to pray for her. And so when the prayer was answered, this lass claimed half the jackpot. Needless to say, the case was thrown out. I don't suppose any of us would seriously pray for something like that, but one of the great things that you can do is to pray for other people. Paul was a great guy. I think some of the letters he wrote to those early churches in some amazing places is still relevant to us today. To the church in Ephesus, he prayed that they might be stronger. Is there anybody here who would not like to be stronger? Some may remember the advert of many, many years ago from a fellow called Charles Atlas. He would say, "Do you want sand kicked in your face on the beach?" He would pose with his bulging biceps and say, "Well, try one of my courses. You can see I did not take up the offer." But anyway, he was selling something called a bull worker, and yes, I was conned as well. But now it's not just young men, it's young women who like to get into the gym. We all want to be stronger. Having said that, strength is not just the strength of a strong body, it's the strength of mind and spirit. But also Paul prayed that they would know God's love. There have been a number of times in our local community where somebody has landed in jail, sometimes for some pretty horrendous things, but almost always their parents have difficulty believing it. I understand that. I confess at times it's almost as if they're looking through rose-coloured spectacles, and I understand that. But then I think maybe that's how God sees us. God sees our downsides, our frailties, but also he sees our strengths and our possibilities, the good things. And that's how we should see one another. It's amazing when you approach people with love, how they will respond with love. But Paul also prays that they will know God, and here's the good news. Not long after coming to this side of the Clyde from Kilbarchan, an old minister told me a story. He says a young chap had come to see him. He'd just separated from his wife and moved in with his parents. Now, part of the deal of him living at home was that he would go and speak to the minister and get sorted out. Now, though the young fellow arrived in time and had a coffee, he immediately said, "Listen, minister, I'm not interested in what you have to say to me. I'm here because my parents have told me to come. It's part of the deal. So let's just get through with it. I'm only going through the motions." And the minister thought for a wee while and said, "No problem, you just sit there, maybe for 30, 40 minutes. I'll get some work done, and then you can go home and tell your folks that you saw me." But after a bit, the young man spoke up and said, "Are you not going to talk to me? Are you just going to sit there?" "Well," said the minister, "I don't have a lot of time to play games. You've just said that you're not interested in anything I have to say." Well, the lad had problems. But you know, that day a journey started. A journey that would change his life. My old friend said 2 years later, he asked me if he could start a youth group in the village and use the church hall. He discovered he had something to give. Isn't it amazing how the simplest kindness can often lead to great things? There's a song which says, "I think of what the world could be. A million dreams is all it's going to take." A million dreams, yes, for the world, for the church. I believe that. I hope you do too. And again, thanks as always for listening to me.